right, well,
Let's get this over
Anyway.
with.
let's talk about this movie.
Oh my gosh. Hello, and welcome to Spooky Sips, where we put our love of horror movies into a podcast and sip some spirits along the way. I'm one of your hosts, Yvette. I'm here with my co-hosts, Laura and Brianna.
Hello.
Hey. Okay, so we just finished watching the recent movie, Nightswim. It came out this year, and we've got some opinions on it.
Wah, wah.
So it's a movie about this retired baseball player who has multiple sclerosis, and so he's forced into early retirement. So, they're trying to figure out how to adapt their life to that. And they are looking for a new house, so they find one, and it's got a pool in the back, a giant pool, we should say. And they fall in love because, swim therapy will be good for him. And so it all just seems like their magical little dreams are coming true. But then there's some spooky stuff that starts happening surrounding the pool.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the movie.
Mm-hmm. From my notes, I wrote more pool equals more good at baseball.
Yes.
So I think that kind of summarizes the movie,
Yes,
too.
I think it really does.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For me, it's like if Lifetime made a horror movie, it would be this.
Yeah, it's like all of the essentials are there.
Yeah.
But almost too much. They were just checking the boxes of creating a horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it and it was like, I don't know, I guess this could be fine as like in the background, you just want to watch a horror movie that's not scary.
Yeah.
Well, and for me, it was like the dialogue. And I was looking at it online while I was watching it to try to reassure myself that I wasn't just being an asshole.
Yes.
And my favorite review was someone that was like, it felt like Chat GPT wrote the script.
Yes.
And I was like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's exactly what it felt like.
Yeah, because that's exactly what I was thinking, where it felt all formulaic. Like it had the, like you said, the check boxes, but there was no heart in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like at one point I had written down where there's a scene where the mom is driving in the car and she's going to go save her family. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's like they watched The Ring and thought this was good. And then they tried to copy it, but they did it so badly that it just made it so much worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it felt like you were watching other horror movies, but not subtly.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think we can just kind of jump around, but the scene in the pool where the kid sees the monster through the pool drain, it was like that's straight out of It.
Yes.
That is Pennywise
to a
calling
T.
out to the kid. It's a bit too much to take from other ones.
They say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, but plagiarism is not.
Yeah, right.
And that's, I feel like, what they were doing. So I don't know. It did not live up to any of my expectations.
Can you hear that in the background?
I did just hear something. Is it your dog?
Yeah, she tooted and she got scared.
No.
It scares her when that happens. Every time.
Penny.
Every
That's
time.
amazing.
It scares me when she does it too.
Right.
Yeah.
We should say for our listeners, if you've been listening for a while now, we don't usually give our opinion at the beginning of the movie this intensely, but this movie deserves it. This and Pure.
Yeah.
They deserve it. So we'll get into it. But we just
it was just so much of the movie where so my husband was watching me watch the second part of it. Mm-hmm. And I was on my phone. I was talking about how pissed off I was that I was having to watch this movie. I was like, this is so bad. I'm so angry. Why is it lasting so long? I was so upset.
No, same. Literally exact same.
I think part of it too is we choose the movie, but we don't talk to each other after we watch it. I feel like we'll give little brief, oh my gosh, guys, I just finished the movie. Like a little brief reaction sometimes, but we don't talk to each other. So I think part of it is we all have to say how we're feeling.
Exactly. We save it for the pod, okay?
I do.
also, I was like super hungover watching this movie.
Oh no.
I had gone out dancing with the girls on Saturday and then was watching this, and it was fun, but man, I was in rough shape when I was watching this, so it was bad. Okay, but should we get into it?
Yeah, we should just get into it. I mean, I feel like we actually already talked about everything you need to know, but we'll still do it for fun.
Yeah. Let's talk about the opening.
Yeah.
Okay.
It does have a whole opening scene.
Yes. Let's start there.
Yeah. So we get a little card that lets us know that it's summer of 1992, and we see a little boat in the pool in a backyard of a house, and at some point, we see that a little girl notices the boat from, I think, her bedroom window or like inside the house. And we quickly get to know that it's her brother's that she's going to go get for him.
Because I think she tells him. Like she goes, so he's clearly ill, and she goes and tells him, like, I found the boat you lost. I'm going to go get it.
Yeah, if you ever in a movie need to make someone look ill, just put oxygen on them, and that's like the universal.
Yeah,
this person is ill.
Yep, that's it.
That's it.
So we see the little girl go out to the pool, and I think she maybe even tries to use like a net first. She tries to kind of like not go into the pool, but reach for the boat. And I mean, we all know what happens, right? She bends down to like go for the boat, just beyond reach.
And she has these little bunny slippers on that are so cute.
Hey, there's not much of this movie I liked, but her little bunny slippers were so.
I really would wear those if I had them myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, they go flying.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Like, pulled in. Well, we do, because I think she gets pulled in or jumps in. Either way, she ends up in the pool. And while she's below the water, she sees someone outside the pool.
Yes.
And she goes to say, like, oh, hey, mom, like she thinking it's her mom, but there's no one there.
Yeah.
And then we get what becomes kind of the sign for bad things are coming, which is like the pool lights start to flicker. And the little girl is just pulled all the way down and is gone.
Yeah.
We do hear whispers saying,
yes.
Timagami? Timagami is that how you say it?
I think that might be the
Timagami. And which we learn later means the deep water. And then it fast forwards to today.
Yeah, because then I think we get the title card, just Nightswim. Which to start the movie, I liked the opening.
It wasn't bad.
No, I did too, actually.
Yeah.
I was like interested. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Like,
yeah, we get the setup, right? We know something's going on with this pool, something happened with this little girl. Like, not a bad start, not a bad opening scene, in my opinion.
And like I often say, I love when horror movies, when they show less, because like, I think that makes it scarier. So I actually was like, ooh, okay, I like the way that they kind of did the scare tactic with the pool. Yeah. Like it actually works. Like it's kind of eerie. So we're good. Like,
yeah, like we don't know exactly what happened. We know she got sucked in and then is gone, but like the details of it, we don't know.
Right. So yeah, then it's modern day. We've got like our family of the movie, mom and dad. And then like this is to a T the trope of a horror movie, but like an attractive daughter and a kid with some sort of like ADHD or something like that. Like the brother has, I feel like that's every horror movie trope is, hot sister and like
a kid with something.
A kid with something going on.
Something's wrong. Yeah.
And that's exactly what we got. So yeah.
But yeah, their dad used to be the professional baseball player. And then we learned that he was diagnosed with secondary progressive MS. And so first they're looking at this apartment and they're thinking, oh, this is going to feel like a hospital because it's like an apartment.
Yeah.
It's like an assisted living apartment or something. But then as they're driving away from that, they see a for sale sign on a house.
And it's like a really cute neighborhood. Again, this is the part of the horror movie where everything is happy and good.
Yep.
So they're touring the house, and then the dad notices the pool, and so he goes to kind of like check it out, and he sees this baseball in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes to reach for it. Oh, and the dad walks with a cane.
Yes.
And so, you know, his legs don't work well anymore.
Right.
Yeah, definitely like
so-
limited mobility.
Yeah.
Yes, limited mobility. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes to reach for the baseball, and then it's like, did he get sucked in? Did he fall in? I don't know.
Yeah.
But then he's struggling to get out because there's like a pool cover, and it's very scary.
Yeah, he gets tangled. Yeah.
Yeah. That shot was kind of cool with like falling in because it just like sucks him in.
Yeah.
He like gets sucked into this tarp and he's trying to like get out of it. Like it legitimately scary situation.
Yeah.
If you fell like that, that would be terrifying. Because like, how do you even swim out?
Right. Right. So yeah, it's got a strong beginning, and like he had just been told by his doctor that swim therapy is actually huge for patients with MS. So it's kind of like fortuitous. Okay, here we go. We're gonna get this house. It's perfect.
They're gonna settle down because they've been moving around a lot.
Yeah,
it's just a lot of cliches, you know.
Oh yeah, literally all of them.
I think I have my moment where this movie turned from potential to absolutely terrible.
Okay, well,
it's coming up.
Okay,
it's coming up. So then they purchased, the family purchases the house, and they're all cleaning the pool.
Yeah,
together because it had clearly not been used in a very long time. So they drain the pool and they're just like scrubbing it and cleaning it out. And I will say I did like this scene where, because this was super scary and had me on edge, where the dad is like reaching down into the drain where he can't see and just his hand can fit.
Yeah.
And it's all this like kind of gunky water. And I'm like, this is not going to be good.
Yep.
And sure enough, it isn't. He ends up like slicing his hand.
Yeah.
And like severely
sliced.
Yeah, like a lot of blood.
Right.
So then we see that the family had clearly decided, okay, well, this is beyond our reach. We're just going to call pool people. And this is where the movie turned for me.
Okay.
Because then they had the strange philosophical pool man.
It was so much.
Like the man that came to do the pool, and he was just spewing out all this philosophy, jargony bullshit.
And it was so forced.
It was so forced.
That's a lot. It's like
the
man came from water and our reptile brain is drawing us back to it. Or it was just it was
too much.
A lot.
Yeah.
But I don't think they intended it to be funny.
No,
I don't think so. That's what was the worst part. Like
maybe they intended it to be funny, but it wasn't creepy, it wasn't funny. It was just like stupid,
corny, and uncomfortable.
Yeah. No, it wasn't serious enough or funny enough.
Exactly.
To land on either side. No, I while watching that I was like, I'm going to ignore this one. I was like, I'll give them that. They couldn't quite figure this out. But through this philosophical pool guy, we find out that it's like a spring fed, like natural pool.
Yeah, it's supposed to be very healing.
Yeah, very healing. So this is giving us a little bit more background.
Yeah.
On like the origins of the water in the pool, a little bit more insight on what could be happening.
And then the next notable thing that happened to me, as we've always said before, the pets know. So the family has a cat named Cider. What a cute name for a little
That's such a cute cat name.
Like, yeah.
I don't know why I pronounced it Kiat.
Cat.
But Cider knows. Cider's oh hell no, something's up.
Yep. They always know.
Oh, because we should have noted it just for numbers. The little girl that died back in 92, that's death number 1.
Yes.
And then I have down Cider as death number 2.
Yeah.
Because we don't see it.
We don't get confirmation of the death, but
we know.
You see that Cider knew something was up, and then her little collar was just floating in the pool with no cat. So
we know something happened to Cider.
Because okay, here's one of my beefs. And I feel like when you watch horror movies, there has to be some part of you that suspends belief because, you know, you can't get caught up in what's realistic and whatnot because you'll get lost in it.
Yeah.
But the thing that really bothered me is like whether it was that little girl or Cider, like where do they go in their actual physical human body? Like it doesn't just evaporate. Like
they go to the ether. They go to the, and
it's not like there's a big, huge, you know, whatever you call it, the thing that sucks the water out. Like there's not one of those. It's just a regular little one. So like, where the fork are all of these people?
They're in another dimension.
That's no.
Okay, but their human body, where did their human body go? It really bothered me.
No, if you start asking too many questions,
I know.
This movie, unfortunately, does only really get worse.
It doesn't make sense.
You can't think about this too much. I mean, you know, the premise is it's a haunted pool. So if you just have to be willing to accept that coming into this movie.
You're right. You're right.
So then I think the mom is one of the first of the family to also experience something.
Yeah.
She is doing like some laps at night where I think I feel like this was annoying. They kept reusing someone is in a pool, they go underwater, they open their eyes and look up while underwater, someone's outside the pool, they come out of the water, there's no one there.
Yeah.
But it was like every character experienced
and then they never really did anything with that plotline. Like that never went anywhere. There was never any like explanation. There was no follow through.
No, there really never was.
No, it's like, okay, like eventually we, you know, we're gonna expect it,
right?
So so the mom is the second person to experience someone watching her over the pool. And then she says nothing. Which,
of course.
I mean, we've all talked about this. I mean, we would all immediately tell each other.
We have a pact that if any of us ever experience it, like we must tell.
Not letting that slide.
No.
Well, speaking of, so one of the next things that happens is that the mom has a dream and she wakes up from the dream at 3:01, which is a very common thing in horror movies, that it's around 3:00. That's the witching hour. Do you know what happened a few nights ago? I think it was Thursday or Friday night. So my husband and I are asleep and we heard, and it was 3:00 in the morning, we heard what sounded like a closet door slamming shut from in the house a few times. So normally, like I'm kind of a light sleeper, but normally one of us will wake up, like if the cat's making a sound, but not the other one. But we both kind of woke up and I was looking around to see what it was. And so I asked him, I was like, well, what was that? Was that the cat? And he goes, no, she's in here. So the cat was in the bedroom with us. We checked all the cameras. We checked outside. And it didn't sound like it was coming from outside of the house. It was coming from inside of the house, a closet door like repeatedly closing. We couldn't find a thing. And it was at 3:00 and it woke us both up.
The call is coming from inside the house.
Exactly.
It
was really freaky. Like it hasn't happened
freaky.
Since.
Love.
So we got haunted too.
All right.
Keep us updated,
this might
please.
just be like the beginning of the story, that you could be the first thing. And now it's going to get us all.
Yep.
We did have that. Wait, what was it that happened this was also at your house? Well, not while we were recording, but all three of us were together.
Yes, with the plant.
The plant that
was
moved.
So creepy.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
It really moved.
Yeah, not like, someone we tried to recreate it. We tried to what if we pushed this chair by accident?
What if the air came on?
Yeah, what if the air came on? It was so I don't know, Laura.
You are so lucky. Your house is
event
haunted.
number 2.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
You're so lucky.
I'll start just recording everything.
Yeah,
please
there
do.
You go.
Yeah, because that was spooky. That is now multiple things that have happened.
Yeah.
Oh, All right, back to the movie.
Back to the movie.
Okay, so she woke up from a dream she
Mm-hmm.
had at 3 a.m. So do we want to talk about the dream analysis?
I mean, we have to. If there's
Definitely.
a dream, we got to check your dream book.
Oh, I dropped it. Hold on. Oh, be careful. When I go to pick up books on the floor, I fall off my chair.
Yeah. I mean, only when you're like heavily intoxicated, but yeah.
Yeah. Which I'm not at this point. We'll see as the episode goes on. Okay, so we've talked about water and dreams a lot because that's been in a lot of the dreams that we've had to analyze.
It's true.
But I think the mom's is pretty specific. In general, dreams where water is a big part of it are often concerned with the dreamer's emotional life. And we've talked about this before, that there's some tiebacks to it being associated with amniotic fluid, which is the reason for it being tied to our emotional life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So it might be a sign of, like, if you're feeling calm in the water, it could be a sign of emotional security, which in the dream that the mom has, she's at the bottom of the pool. And I feel like she's worried that she's about to drown.
Yeah.
Would you both feel the same?
Yes,
Yeah.
agreed.
Mm-hmm.
So if the sea or the water in the dream was rough, or you were afraid of drowning, that means emotional insecurity. So what I think this means is her husband is really struggling with the loss of his identity. His whole identity is tied up in that he's a professional baseball player.
Mm-hmm.
And now that his MS symptoms are worsening and he can't do that anymore, it's like his whole life, he doesn't know what to do with it. So I think the wife is just feeling insecure emotionally because her husband, like, what's he going to do? And how are they as a family going to go from here? Because he's no longer the person he was. And in fact, their whole family was really tied to his career.
Yeah.
They talk about how they always are traveling around because as he got signed to different teams, that's what they did. So I think she's just emotionally feeling very insecure because his identity really controls the whole family's identity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, we do see her, I think, trying to figure out what she wants to do, right? I think it's when talking to the realtor where she's talking about how she's like finishing up school. And that's why she's working at the school, like the job that she has. And like even the realtor's kind of like, oh, good for you.
Yeah.
In like, kind of a
and
passive
like
aggressive tone.
Right.
Yeah, like better late than never or something.
Oh, good for you.
And even like the kids like are able to like be on sport teams now because they're not moving around. And this was the last moment that I liked this movie, was when the daughter is at school and she gets handed a flyer for the swim team, and it's their Jesus swim team, and their like motto at the top is just swim for him. And I loved.
Oh, I didn't realize it was a Jesus swim team. And I was like, swim for him? Is this some sort of a fundraiser for a sick kid?
No, it's a Jesus swim team. I don't even know what that means. I don't know what a Jesus swim team is.
Swim
but
for
like,
God.
Swim for God, you guys.
I don't understand why they had to add that.
No, I don't either. There's a lot of moments that I'm like, why? Like, okay.
Could have just have been a normal,
right?
Like, normal, a non-religious,
right,
swim team.
I feel like this is all very much tied back to how they had ideas of things, but they just did such a shit job of it. Because my thinking is maybe they were trying to have a contrast with, the Jesus swim team and the Christian boyfriend versus the demonic spirits of the pool.
Yeah.
Now, they did a terrible job of it, so it doesn't make any sense. But I almost feel like they were trying to make those two contrary ideas.
No, because that's totally like, I mean, it's like when a girl doesn't want to lose her virginity in the beginning of the movie, right? Like, yeah. No, for sure. It's a common.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just very poorly did it.
It just seemed really random.
Yeah.
So the rest of the family experiences some sort of thing in the pool.
Yeah.
I think the next person after the mom and the cat is the little boy, like the son, who's like playing in the pool. Oh, because they have this like game about throwing coins in the pool where the kids go and get them and like bring them back up. And someone throws a coin in the pool while he's in there, and surprise, despite him seeing someone from below the water, no one is there. So
wait, that hasn't happened before.
Right. I wasn't expecting that at all.
So that's his kind of creepy experience. And then that's when we get what I think is just way too similar to It, where he hears someone. I think it's like directly calling for help or for him.
I think it is.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's like you can kind of tell it's a young girl's voice.
She's like, help, I'm trapped. I found your toy.
Yes.
Yeah. And she's like asking for her mom, like, where's my mom? That's a big, that's the big thing that like once he gets up there, you can kind of see her in the, I don't know what those things are called.
It's like the filter intake.
Yeah, it's like the filter intake.
Yeah.
You can like see her in there and she's like asking for her mom. And so we're like, oh, it's the girl from the beginning of the film. Okay. Like, got it.
And she does introduce herself. She says, my name is Rebecca Black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we learn that.
So he goes over to the little, like filtered opening area. And I think this is where we see the creature, the demon, the monster.
Yes.
The first time.
Yeah, because there's like a hairy hand that reaches out from that thing to grab him.
Right.
And then we look in and you can see it.
Yeah.
Like the little monster. Which is,
it's,
This is when I wrote in my notes, I'm bored.
Okay, so story time. So, because I feel like for our listeners, what we add to the podcast is that you get to know us a little bit better and the things that are weird about us. So when I was a child, I wrote a book and it was about an orphan. And the title of the book was Black Roses, of course.
Ooh, love it.
And her name was Rebecca Black.
Oh my gosh.
So as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh my God.
Did you
plagiarism
write this movie?
Okay, you guys, I actually wrote this movie. This is my movie. I'm really sorry.
You were just trying to get us to watch it. You wanted our unbiased opinions.
Yeah, I wanted to know how you felt about it. Now that I know, I'm very ashamed. But this is my movie. Yeah.
Well, you did terrible.
Thanks. I bet my book would have been a lot better.
Yes. I wondered why the name Rebecca Black sounded so familiar. That's why.
Yep.
Well, Rebecca Black is also the person who released the iconic Friday.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
That's right. Oh my gosh.
Such a good song. One of our sound clips has to be to that.
Yes. Amazing.
So that's his little haunting moment, which again, so far in the movie, at the beginning, they did a good job of not showing and keeping it scary. I think as soon as they showed that monster, I was like, I'm not scared at all. Not that I was, but like, I feel like it wasn't scary enough when I saw it that it was like, I feel like my imagination could do better. Just don't even show it.
Agreed.
It was
don't cut to that.
Fake and cheesy and stupid. And
there's something about a really good movie that's hard to like put into a formula because it's more than that. But like the way you do the music, the way you do the timing, the way you do the lighting, like that all contributes to the moment being scary. And this movie just had literally none of that. Like it just was flat the whole way through. Like,
and I always wonder, like, because obviously being an actor and just a person working on a movie, things don't seem the way that we see them as viewers in the final edit, right?
Oh, definitely.
I almost wonder, do you know? Like, I wonder if, like, maybe you're on a movie like Sinister and you're, shooting all the scenes and you have no idea if it's going to, like, hit or not.
Yeah.
Versus this one, which seems like it had a lot of good elements that should have made for a good movie, and then it totally falls flat. So, like, I wonder if you get any sort of a inkling on if this is gonna go.
Yeah,
I wonder.
I will say, I do
actually think the acting was good considering everything else in the movie.
No, yeah, you're right. It wasn't the acting that killed it.
No, I don't think so. I think had these actors been given maybe a slightly different script, I think they could have done a really good job. Like the parents were good, the kids were actually pretty good. It was a limited cast.
Yeah, there really was.
Yeah.
I did have moments randomly where I felt like the dad kind of looked like Bo Burnham. You get that at all? Like just a little, like just something about the beard.
Yep.
Yeah.
Little moments.
Just little moments.
Do you know who that is? Like who?
No.
He's the son of Kurt Russell.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh.
Interesting.
So I feel like there was that kind of like familiarity.
Nepotism thrown in there.
Okay.
Well, you should be ashamed.
I don't know. I think the acting was fine. I will defend the actors because I actually think the acting was fine. I don't think they made the movie any worse.
No, I think it was fine. I didn't think it was good though.
Yeah.
I agree though, Brianna, with you, where I feel like the biggest part of it was a problem with kind of the editing, the timing, and music. I feel like the sound effects of this movie, they didn't draw you in. They were just very generic.
Yeah.
And so I think that had everything else been all the same, even like the dialogue and the acting, but the editing and the music was better, it might have been a good movie.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Because actually, I will say, like, you know, I don't know where we are as far as the storyline, but they have a huge pool party. We're getting close to that, right? Like,
yes, yeah, I think
feel like
that's coming up very, very soon.
Yes, we're getting close because this is another problem I have with the movie was the timeline.
Okay, yeah, but like, there's a scene when they're all in the pool and it's a ton of people, but the filming is under the water, and that was one part where I was like, okay, that was a cool way to shoot that. Like that felt eerie. That felt like you shouldn't be seeing them from there. Like it felt wrong. And that was the only other time that I gave this movie any validation.
Yeah, I think right before the pool party, we get the daughter. She is the last one to experience something spooky right before, where she invites the guy from the Christian swim team
Jesus
over.
Guy.
The Christian boyfriend.
To play Marco Polo, which like you're like legally required to in a horror movie about a pool. You know?
Absolutely.
You
like
have to. They won't release it if
not include it. So yeah, we get the scene. They're playing Marco Polo, and again, this is I don't know. I feel like they didn't do a great job.
Well, here's the thing that killed me about this is I actually went back after I finished and I rewatched the trailer because I remember seeing the trailer. I think maybe even when we went to go see Sting. Maybe, the trailer was good.
It was.
Like, and it was of this scene. It was of the two playing Marco Polo and
yes.
So like I went back and watched it and I was like, no, the trailer was actually good. Like if your trailer is better than your entire movie, you did it wrong.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. They did this scene was scarier in the trailer.
Yes, it was.
Absolutely.
And that's what I was wondering. I was like, how does it feel so like boring here, but it was really good in the trailer? Like,
because I think they added too much. So the trailer was cut down, it was edited better. And with this one, it was just the scenes were too long in the wrong parts. And then they're playing Marco Polo and it's dark and she can't find him and he's, out of the water, but she doesn't know and she thinks it's him. And then I wrote down, then a laughably stupid ghost grabs her. Like he was so stupid looking.
Yes.
Like I think that was supposed to be maybe kind of like the chubby old man ghost or something.
Yeah.
I forget which one it was, but I just was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like it's not scary at all.
No, it's not. The ghosts were not scary enough.
No.
So
no at all.
If you can't make it scary, that's fine. Just don't show them.
Right. Right.
We have to pause for a second.
Quick pause.
I just turned my head.
Oh, what happened to you?
What's going on back there?
Oh God.
So anyways, okay, so I haven't washed my hair in a couple of days, okay?
Clearly.
Anyways,
for our listeners, Brianna just had some really fun things happening with her hair.
Sorry for the interruption.
Get a brush.
No, I guess. Gosh.
But yeah, I think right after the Marco Polo scene, we get the pool party.
Yeah, and like for the setup of the pool party, the mom really is like trepidatious about this. Like you can tell that she's like, no, there's something wrong with the pool. Like she is fully invested in the fact that there is something wrong with the pool.
But the dad wants it because what we haven't talked about is that he had discovered he's been in the pool and he's getting better.
Yes.
Like his hand was completely healed.
Oh, yes. His cut that he had like the giant gash gone.
Yes.
So like, I wrote down this line because when they're arguing about it, the mom and dad, he goes and he just deadpans and he goes, the pool is the greatest thing that ever happened to me. Yeah. And I was like, what was that moment that just happened? What was that for real? Like,
what?
You're saying that to the mother of your children, and the pool is the greatest moment of your life.
That was the best moment.
I think that's supposed to like get us like the pool is like kind of starting to take over, like it's kind of starting to possess him a little bit.
Yeah,
because there is a scene. I think it is either at the pool party or before where he like inhales some of that like black water. It comes out of the bottom of the pool.
Oh, it's at the party.
At the pool party.
At the party. And he breathes. And so he's like now taken in.
Fully possessed. Yeah.
So they have this pool party with all the friends from school. His team, the little kids baseball team, is all there. And there's like this real weird, you guys, this real weird situation with a kid. Like,
oh, I thought you were going to talk about the rum cake.
No, the rum cake, we will in just a second.
Yes.
But at the baseball practice, the dad went and helped. And he like helped this one kid who was the coach's son. And they shared a moment.
Yeah.
And then they get real weird with each other at the pool. And
yeah, it's strange.
It felt inappropriate to have a child of that age sitting on your shoulders. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it.
In my experience, playing chicken is only something that teenage girls do with the teenage boys. Like, it's all like a very like excuse to just be dirty, sex crazed teenagers. It's not like an innocent pool game.
Agreed.
I don't know.
Yeah.
To me, chicken is not that.
It seemed weird for sure.
Yeah.
But we should say, yes, the party begins with, I think it's the realtor. Isn't that who brings it? Yeah.
Yeah.
The realtor brings this rum cake and it's like blue, which
Jello. It's a Jello cake.
Okay. Yeah. It looks like a Jello cake, but she's calling it a rum cake.
Yes.
And she's saying like a whole bottle of Captain is in there.
Yes. Not for the kids.
Yeah. Not for the kids.
So basically she just made a giant Jello shot. But rum cake is actually different. So my husband and I got married in Jamaica, and in Jamaica they have rum cakes. Like that's like one of the things they are known for. And rum cakes are like delicious cakes soaked in rum. They're not blue Jello.
Right.
Well, she's doing it different, okay?
That's all right. That's all right. You know, you do whatever you want to do.
So we should talk about what we are chomping on. Is that what we're going to say?
Yeah.
What we're biting on? Yeah, maybe biting on because it's a swim.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Somebody stop me.
Okay, wait. So are we doing the rum, like a rum cake, and then also the rum cake cocktail? Because that's what I made.
I think we should if we're feeling up to it.
I think so, right? Okay, cool. I just wanted to like double check.
Yeah, I think we should just do it. Horrible movie. So we make up for it with the...
We can cut back.
Yeah.
So yeah, what we're doing tonight is we are making a rum cake.
And why not?
Yeah, we're actually making a rum cake. It's a real one, not a Jello cake. And then we are also sipping on, is it just called swimming pool cocktail? Is that?
It's just the rum cake cocktail.
Oh, the rum cake cocktail. Yes. Thank you. Okay. So what's that got in it?
Okay. I have it pulled up.
Okay.
So for the rum cake cocktail, which I'm drinking right now, you're going to want 2 ounces of rum, 4 ounces of coffee or espresso, half an ounce of half and half, or like coffee creamer, I think works too. a bar spoon of unsalted butter, 2 bar spoons of sugar, quarter bar spoon of nutmeg, quarter bar spoon of cinnamon, and you gotta top it off with some whipped cream.
Of course.
Sounds so good.
It is actually really good.
Yeah.
It is. I haven't had a lot of butter in my drinks, but if you're gonna have a rum cake cocktail, why
you
not?
have to.
Yeah. So honestly, it's really good. I will say I made the cocktail and then I had a sip and I thought, okay, that's like pretty good. And then I let it sit for a second while I got ready to get like all my stuff pulled up. And then I had another sip and I swear it tasted like 5 times stronger.
Yeah.
Maybe your butter congealed at the bottom of the glass.
Maybe the butter like got in there.
There's some chemistry occurring.
I love it.
But it's really good. Would recommend topping with the whipped cream because otherwise it's actually not as sweet as you would expect. But with the whipped cream, it is delicious.
I love whipped cream, so any excuse, I'll take it. I really will.
Yeah, I didn't have any, so I was like, well, I have to go to the store to get whipped cream. What else am I going to do?
Yep.
Definitely.
Yes.
Okay, so just because I need to talk about one of the parts that bothered me most about this movie. So when the girl and her boyfriend were doing their Marco Polo, he's like, I'll see you Saturday, as he's like leaving. So mom comes home, and so the sister's like, you got to get out of here. So he's like, I'll see you Saturday. And she goes, oh, wait, Saturday? And he's like, yeah, your pool party. Okay. So he makes it a point to say, I'll see you Saturday. But then it's the pool party. And then she talks about, oh, yeah. She like the girl is telling her friends, oh, yeah, Christian boy came over last night and he kissed me.
Yeah.
If it was Friday night, you would not say, I'll see you Saturday.
You would say, you see you tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a weird way to say that.
It makes me irrationally mad.
Yeah, that's fair.
Again, I don't know. I wasn't going to say it's the little things. It's the little things and the big things in this movie. But
it's everything. Actually, it's just everything.
It's everything.
But that's one of them.
One thing I did like, a scene I did like it, is as the pool party is starting, the way that, so the realtor brings in her rum cake and she's talking to the mom, and they're kind of talking about the fact that the mom knows the pool is haunted. And so as they're doing that, the mom is chopping her watermelon.
Yes.
And the way she was chopping it, they did do a good job of making that. Like, she actually did have her fingers kind of curled in like you're supposed to, but still something about it was really off.
It was really off.
It made me very uncomfortable. She was going to slice off her hand.
It was very unsettling.
That was a good way to build tension.
Yes, it was.
Unlike most of the other things we saw in this movie.
The rest was shit. Yep.
But yeah, so we do get, I guess the 2 big takeaways from the pool party are, one, the mom gets a little bit more info from the realtor who says like, oh, I honestly did not know when you bought it, but since you bought it, I have learned. And that's when she tells her the story of that we saw as the opening scene of the little girl.
Yeah.
And that's why the pool hasn't been used. But even the realtor's like, I don't know why that would make it so you wouldn't use a perfectly good pool.
Right.
So even she kind of brushes it off.
Right.
So she brushes it off as like a little thing, but the mom gets a little bit more background. And then the second big thing that happens is during the game of chicken, the dad gets further and further into the deep end while still holding the like coach's son. And he is just like bringing him underwater along, and both him and the kid are just underwater for a very long time, and he refuses to let go of the boy. And as this is happening, we see the black thing come out from under from the drain at the bottom of the pool and go into the dad. Like he it becomes a part of him, which like I'm very forgiving with movies. I will watch pretty much any movie. You guys know some movies I watch. I'm pretty forgiving. And I feel like for some reason that moment for me was the like, this is honestly
we're done.
I don't know. This they're not coming back from this. No. I feel like that moment was like, why would that make any sense? His behavior has already changed.
Yes.
Before the pool party.
Exactly.
Like, they didn't need to go that big with it.
Right.
You know?
Well, and like, I don't know, again, it's kind of a little thing. It's called Nightswim. So I feel like more of the haunting should have happened at night.
I know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But a lot of them happened during the day. But no, I agree. It was at this point where had we not been watching for the podcast, I would have stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't care about it at all.
Right. And we should say, just for the plot, that like the reason he was with the coach's son is because his kid wasn't out there, the boy, the son, because he was inside filming.
Yeah.
Because like he kind of was like, I know there's something going on and I'm going to catch it. So he was inside filming the pool.
Yes.
Which is kind of a cool thing for them to do, but then they never did anything.
They never took it anywhere.
Nope.
It never.
Nope.
That's the thing that kills me is there, and there are even more coming that I have pet peeves about. But there are so many moments where they've got this thing happening and then just nothing. Let it go, evaporate into air.
Yep. No, like it is. So at this point, the like police is called. Like you think this is like rock bottom in theory, you know, for the dad. The coach is like, don't come around practice, and like it's very. It literally becomes dark and stormy outside.
Yes.
Yes. So stupid. And this is then where there's the scene of the mom where they just took directly out of the ring where like the mom is like investigating and discovering and finds these old articles of the former house.
Yes.
Here is the thing that kills me. Again, we have that entire scene. Where did that go?
No.
Was it ever mentioned again that there were other very lightly but it isn't a plot line for the rest of the movie that there were a lot of these instances.
I think the only reason they did it is so that they would have a reason to put other ghosts other than the little girl in the scenes that come later.
But they never go anywhere with them. Like there's no thread.
No.
There's no thread carrying this movie through.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't even know. All right, whatever. Nobody in the town likes them now. They're ostracized. Okay.
Yeah.
And then so then the mom goes to see Mrs. Summers because after she does her little montage of like discovery, which was just so shit done, then she goes to see Mrs. Summers.
Yes.
And confront her about the pool being haunted.
Yes.
Yep.
And if I did not think this movie could get worse, it surpassed my expectations.
No, the explanation of what is happening, this movie just.
Now, are we at the part we're talking about her mom, the little girl's mom?
Yeah, Mrs. Summers. She admits the water's magic.
I literally had a moment where I had to like rewind it because I wasn't paying attention. And I was like, wait, did I miss just where she talks about her daughter? And like, no, it's because she just pretends she doesn't have
she doesn't
a daughter.
Exist. Yes.
What?
And the way it tries to be so mystic or something.
Yes.
And she talks about, you know, the story of the spring in the ground. She tells that whole story, and then she talks about how the pool came from when, it was just the spring in the ground, and people flocked to the pool, and the water gives us our deepest desires. And this is where we learn that the Temagami means the deepest water. And then she says, once water is woken, it will take a life.
Yeah.
So basically, this mom, Mrs. Summers, let the pool take her daughter. So the mom kind of got possessed like the dad did, right? But she's like, you know what, pool? You've told us that you're going to make our life good, but that you demand a life. So just take the girl.
Yeah, she's like, honestly, that just seems like a fair trade.
Yeah, and she's just so nonchalant about it.
And then she like says something like, it'll be over soon to the mom. Like the Mrs. Summers says it to the current mom.
Yeah.
And it's just so stupid.
No, it's so cheesy.
She's like crying black water.
Oh, yeah. She's
and there's like
black water.
a fountain inside the house with
there's water
happening. I don't know that it gone at this point. I was just gone.
So I really didn't pay attention. So I guess now we could just like finish it up because really,
this is where I wrote
at the finish line.
I wrote this movie never ends.
Yeah,
and it's like by the time they got to that storyline, I was like, isn't it almost over?
I know, it felt so freaking long.
No, it really.
I don't understand what they're gonna do. Like,
so then they're back at the house. They're back at the house, and then I wrote down, "Oh no, the water's acting strange."
Oh no,
because like there's like a water in a cup, and it's like almost Jurassic Park vibes, like rippling.
Yes,
and then this was the part I did like. The one water cup is like on the counter, and it's slowly like moving toward the edge. So like imagine, you know what a cat does when it goes to push the water off the counter? That was happening, but there was no cat there. And I was
maybe
like,
it was their cat. Maybe
get it, Cider. Get it.
You know, I don't even know what you're talking about because I didn't see that because I literally stopped watching. Like,
I had such a hard time getting through this part.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
The ending was rough. So that the dad is like in the shower or something.
Yeah.
Where he gets like just fully possessed. I think.
Yeah. And like the dad doesn't need a cane anymore.
Right.
Yeah. We haven't really talked about it, but the dad is like fully recovered.
He's thriving.
He like broke a baseball.
Yeah.
When he hit it with a baseball bat, like his test results came back. And it was like, oh, like, what are you doing? Like, this is crazy. We've never seen results like this. Like, we didn't really talk about it, but that's been happening. So clearly he's lifting weights and stuff. Like the dad's been going through a transformation. Yeah. So it's benefiting only him.
And he's doing great and he loves it.
And he's doing great. The pool is the best thing to ever happen to him.
Exactly. So then the brother hears the cat. He hears what he thinks is Cider. And so he goes out to save Cider. And it seems like Cider must be on this like flamingo floaty.
Yes. So he goes out on the dive board. Yes.
And then he gets kind of just sucked in with the floaty, like a ghosty. And then the possessed dad is being creepy while the mom discovers the brother out in the pool and she's trying to save him. And then the dad's so the mom sends the daughter into the house to be like, get help. So the daughter
that's right.
Into the house to get help. And the dad's just being super creepy. And he like throws her around because he doesn't want her to call for help. Because he's like, you know, it's better this way. Your brother was kind of a weakling, like,
and he looks weird. Like
he does look,
And I literally wrote down, I was like, so wait, is this actually the dad, or is this like?
I think this is like demon dad.
I think this is possessed dad. Dad is possessed.
But I was like, is he really there? Like, I just couldn't tell what was happening. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
all the ghosts start attacking the mom at once. Like once she gets a hold of the brother, because so mom's trying to pull him out of the pool, and then I wrote Rebecca helps mom get out. Is Rebecca the daughter? No, Rebecca's the little girl.
The ghost.
The ghosty girl, the little girl. She like points mom in the right direction. So she's like a good ghosty among all the people.
Because the ghosts are coming for the mom who's trying to get her son out. And she thinks she's swimming away from them. And the little girl stops them. And then that's when she drops the coin, which makes her realize that she's actually going further down instead of up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and
Rebecca Black is like
but like the dad was really trying to get Izzy to not save the son. Right? Did we say that?
Yeah, like he's trying to stop her from calling the police because he wants. Because he's
like, no, I want him to die.
He's like, it's better this way.
Yeah, he's kind of weak. Like it's better. He's gonna go.
So they finally get out of the pool, the mom and the son. And
I did like once they're out, the dad tries to attack them.
Yeah,
and I did like that the daughter just beat the shit out of her dad with a baseball bat.
Absolutely,
that was pretty good. That was great. You're right. That was actually a very good.
That was great.
You're right. But they try to like take the boy because they're like, he needs help. Like he's breathing, he's alive, but they try to take him, and he just gets worse. And
so he gets away from the pool.
They're like, oh my God, the pool won't let him leave.
Because at this point, the dad is like kind of come to.
Like the dad is doing better, but the son is doing worse.
Yeah.
I think the girl like knocked the demons out. Like I think she started that process of like knocking the demons out of the dad, and then he like coughs up the ghost.
Okay, so that's why he's doing better and is like, oh, maybe I should save my son. And I swear, I also kind of stopped paying attention by the end of this movie, but I swear at this point too, like when the son is out and the dad's like kind of come to, I swear he has like a dumb line where he's like, "Is he okay?" And
Yes.
it's like, what?
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure exactly what happened.
Dying.
Because, yeah, instead of writing notes at this point, I just wrote giant eye roll, and that was me. That wasn't what happened in the movie.
So then, and this is again, I really wasn't watching either, but like we're being bad.
None of us watched this movie.
We're being really bad podcast hosts for you right now. We're sorry. This was just a terrible movie.
Well, the dad fights through the ghosts, and he decides to sacrifice himself.
Okay, see, that's what I was going to say. I couldn't remember. Did they sacrifice the dad?
No.
Because I remember them just kind of being like, okay. Like, doesn't the dad sacrifice himself and the family's just like,
yeah, they just gotta watch him go. Because
he's like, I volunteer. And he's like, look away.
And they're just so okay with it. Like, oh, okay, bye, Dad.
Because they know that if he doesn't go, then the brother's gonna go.
I know, but it still doesn't matter. That's
stupid. No,
like, it's so weird. And then we get like the whole obviously the dad is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the whole end scene is like the family at the house, and they're filling in the pool. It's getting filled in with dirt.
And that took like 5 hours for them to fill in the pool. I was like, why is this scene so goddamn long?
Why are we watching this? Like, what?
So they're just like filling it in with dirt, and it's like, oh, are we gonna move? And it's like, no, Dad wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
So they're gonna stay. So no one else gets haunted by this pool, I think.
Yeah, so they did mention that. Like, it's a little bit noble.
Like, no, actually, I think your dad would. Your dad was fully here for it. He was like, fuck my family. I'm better. Let's go. Like, I think the dad would totally be fine with it.
Yeah, true.
And it just made no sense. It's like, okay, you already, again, sometimes it's like, okay, these haunts are isolated incidences. And so, you see the story only from the family's perspective. But like the pool party, we've already seen the cops. Okay. You've already shown us you live in the real world.
Yes.
Like what? Like they were like, oh, sorry, my dad disappeared into the pool. And we're not being suspicious by filling it in.
Right.
And again, where the fork did he go? Like, okay, so that's the end of the movie.
That's the end. And then
the end.
And then we had this, like, the cheesiest effects of end credits. We're like, ooh, the text is underwater. Like, it just reminded me of, like, 1998 PowerPoint effects or something.
Yes.
Like, it was so bad. And it was trying to be, like, the music was, like, talking about, like, drowning and being in the water. It was so
This is like what we were saying for Pure, where it felt like they wrote the really bad music for the movie.
Specifically.
It felt the same.
I think it was just like AI did a lot of this movie.
If this
it did feel
is the future of AI, I am really happy not to support it. So
we're not for it.
No. Oh, it's funny, side note, but actually there was a Nightswim cocktail that I found. But it was from a website that was like AI bartender, and it's a bot, like it's an AI website that like you type in a word and it pops out a cocktail for you. And I was like, I don't know if I want to support that. Like, I still don't know how I feel about that. So,
I mean, it's happening whether you support it or not.
We'll just choose a different one.
Maybe just
for the podcast.
Just dive in.
Principles.
Dive in, Brianna.
We have to have principles here on Spooky Sips. You know,
you didn't get my.
Wait, I heard your pun.
I got it. I just didn't care about it.
We heard your pun. So, is now a good time to get into some psych?
You know what? Let's, because we got nothing else to do.
I guess.
And, blah, blah, blah. She's not a doctor. They're not real. Don't believe anything we're saying.
This isn't a real pool.
Perfect. It's not a real pool.
It's not a real pool. It's not
All
a real
right.
cat.
I think it's partially because I'm coming down with a cold, but also I wanted to give the psych of this episode as much effort as the writers and editors of this movie gave.
There.
So don't expect a lot.
Yes.
I think that's really respectable.
Okay, so the first thing I wanted to talk about was the psychological benefits of bodies of water. Because they kind of talked about that in this movie.
Yeah.
And that is actually maybe a real thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So there was one article that summed up, it kind of summed up a list of reasons why there can be benefits to being around bodies of water and how that boosts our mental health. So I'm just going to, again, kind of like this movie, not do anything original my own. I'm just going to copy paste.
Perfect. Can't wait.
So there was 4 main reasons or ways that being around bodies of water can improve your mental health. 1, it can expand your mind and put you at ease. One theory behind this is because of, and it relates to the color blue. So we've done some other kind of color psychology, like we talked about white, red. Blue is supposed to kind of be tranquil, put you at ease. Being around bodies of water, and I'm including pools as a body of water.
Yeah.
It can also reduce your stress. It can also promote reflection and mindfulness. So one of the theories behind why this happens is because water can be kind of mystifying. So it evokes feelings of wonder, gratitude, and humility. Which actually, I know it sounds really cheesy, but I do kind of feel like that. Not when I'm around a swimming pool, but like when you go to the ocean.
Oh, yeah.
To me, it is like this feeling of wonder and humility because it's so giant and we're just so tiny, nothing. Like,
no, I agree. Like I can just stand there and stare out into the ocean.
Yeah.
100%.
Forever.
Yeah. It can also improve your mental energy. And one of the reasons or the ways that it does that is through physical exercise. So a lot of times when you're around bodies of water, you're more active, whether it be that you're swimming or you're walking on the beach or things like that. It can just be good to help with that. So I think what this is telling us is that we all need a beach trip.
Yes.
Definitely.
Okay. Message
Spooky
received.
Sips goes to the beach.
Yes. Done. Ready.
It's a write-off.
Oh my gosh.
Love
You can make a bikini for Ghosty.
Oh my gosh.
I could totally crochet a bikini for our little ghosty friend.
That would be the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
I would honestly love that.
I will look up the pattern. Really, it'd be easy to do. I would just do little triangles. And then oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that'd be so cute.
Okay. Just in time for summer.
Yeah.
Our little ghosty.
Bikini ghosty.
Yes.
Merch forthcoming.
Yep.
So I don't even know if I want to talk about this one because I didn't go very far into it. But I did find it really interesting. So today when I was driving around, I had to travel a lot for work today. And when I was driving in between schools, there was a story on NPR. Yes, I'm a nerd. And it was talking about the psychological and mental health impact of people with chronic pain. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I was going to like. One of the ideas I had for psych was because the guy kind of was losing his identity and dealing with a lot of mental health stuff because his whole identity was being a baseball player. And he lost that in combination with also then dealing with chronic pain. And like, what does that do to a person?
Yeah.
So I didn't go very deep into it, but biggest things it does is a lot of times people that experience, life-altering illnesses or just chronic pain are going to have depression and anxiety, which I think we see with him. I don't think we see a lot of anxiety with him, but we do see a lot of depression. But I thought it was interesting in the NPR story I was hearing, they were actually saying that anxiety was a lot higher than depression, which I thought that's maybe it like rocks your sense of security, right? Like you have this sense of like what your life is going to be. And then all of a sudden it's completely changed.
Yeah.
So it just is like, well, if my whole core self can change like that, what the heck else can happen?
Yeah.
I get it, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then the biggest thing that happens is grief. So if you get this diagnosis or you have this chronic pain, you are grieving for this lost lifestyle and that your future is not going to unfold as you had planned it. So that's a pretty common condition that happens with chronic illnesses. And then you get changes in mood, like day to day, you might be more irritable, you have more distress. And it just comes from like realizing your options are more limited now. So your outlook changes.
That makes sense.
So we do see that from the dad.
Definitely.
That's kind of a depressing way to go. But then I took a little bit of a alternate route to
Pivot.
our last segment. So what I was thinking is maybe we do a little bit psychology, a little bit philosophy, and talk about Sophie's Choice.
Okay.
Have either of you ever seen that?
Yes.
Movie or read the book?
I've read the book. I haven't seen the movie.
I actually don't think I've seen the movie. Yeah. There's something
either.
that's like referenced so much.
Yeah, I've read the book. It was intense. I mean, it's good.
It's got to be intense. Well, and the movie has Meryl Streep in it. So I'm like, oh my gosh, how have I not seen it?
I know.
So I'm going to need to add that to my summer list.
That'll be our next movie.
Right.
Horror in a whole different kind of concept.
Absolutely.
I mean, it is.
So the kind of background to Sophie's Choice is that this mom, from what I understand, and I don't know too much of it, or Brianna, do you want to say, or do you want me to say?
No, go for it.
Because I only did like a little bitty synopsis on Google, but that this mom who is going through the Holocaust has to choose if her son or daughter gets to survive. And like, how do you choose that? And I was kind of thinking like, well, that's really what happened in both families in this school, like with the school, is that you have to choose in order for everyone else in your family to have a benefit. Everyone else or one person has to be sacrificed. So how would you make that choice? So then I found this really interesting article about people making decisions like Sophie's Choice type decisions. So a lot of times psychological research has assumed that people make decisions with this value maximizing principle, which is kind of like you use like cold, factual, mathematical equations to kind of optimize your outcome. That's like the theory behind people are going to make decisions based off of like maximizing the benefit.
Yeah, like in this case, well, the son has a whole life ahead of him, whereas the dad has already lived one and he has MS and
Right. Or even with like, but when the dad was still under possession, he was like, well, my daughter's good at sports. My kid's kind of
life's going to be really hard for him.
Yeah. I'm doing him a favor, actually. So
where it's interesting because in the family before, the Summers family, the mom was like, well, the girl was fine, but the boy needs more help. So like, I'm going to sacrifice my healthy daughter to save my sick boy. I think that was just a sexist thing, but
absolutely. Yeah.
So I found this one study and it used fMRI, which stands for functional magnetic resonance imaging. So that's like the MRIs that you normally do, but it's functional. So it does it like while you think through things, it shows parts of your brain lighting up, which is actually like a cool thing that they can do. But it investigated kind of how your neural mechanisms work when you're making what they called vital loss decisions. So like they put participants in 3 different situations. One is both losses would be like trivial. So whichever way you choose, it's like a trivial loss or a trivial loss, but you still have to make a choice. The next case is where both losses are vital, which I think is kind of like this movie. like no matter which way you decide, it's a big loss or like a life-altering loss.
Mm-hmm.
And then one condition was where one loss is trivial and the other is vital. And it kind of like figured out different parts of your brain that light up in each of those conditions. So in the vital group, so in the situation that these families were dealing with, like you lose a son or you lose a daughter, the amygdala was really active. And so your amygdala, that's like the emotional kind of basal part of your brain. Like Brianna, you were mentioning, or one of you was mentioning that like the philosophical pool man said something about like your lizard brain. This is kind of like your lizard brain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually kind of interesting that they put that in there.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's the part of your brain that's very emotional and it's responsible for like responding to threats. So it's kind of like the guard dog of your brain. Like you're presented with a threat and this part decides fight, flight, freeze. And it does not make rational decisions. It's very emotional and like quick reaction just to survive an instant threat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's not good at like long-term decision making.
Yeah.
Another part of the brain during the vital group is that lights up was the rostral anterior cingulate cortex.
Say that 5 times.
So this part of the brain is responsible for like integrating your emotions and your cognition. So it's the part that, puts your thinking and your feeling together. This part also lights up more in that group. But then a different part, the orbitofrontal cortex, was more active during the vital trivial. So like if you make one choice, it's a pretty meaningless loss versus the other option, which is really important. And that's responsible for things like sensory integration, regulating those like visceral reactions you have, and learning, prediction, and decision making. So the part of the brain that really is better for all this decision making is the part of the brain that's the least active when you're making these vital
perfect
decisions.
Interesting.
Which I think is probably an explanation for some of the choices we see in this movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
So really, like this kind of theory that people are going to make the maximum, like optimizing maximum outcome decisions based off of cold hard facts. People don't do that. It's very much more emotion driven, which is proven by like the parts of your brain that are going to light up. So in situations like this, the philosophical part of me wonders then, okay, well, why make a choice then at all? Like if you're presented with this situation where the pool is like, you got to pick one of your kids to die, why make a choice at all? So one psych theory is that this absolute loss is worse than the relative loss. So what I mean by that is like by the dad picking the boy to die, the son to die, he can think of it as, oh, I kept or I protected my daughter versus I killed my son.
Yeah.
Or sacrificed my son.
Yeah.
Because if just one of them is going to die and he has no choice, like the pool just chose which one, it's like, oh, all he can think of it is my son or daughter died.
You have some control in it.
But if you pick it, then it's like, I protected this one.
Yeah.
Like one was going to die anyway, but at least I made the choice to protect one.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting, like why people would make the choice at all.
Yeah.
So then my next question to pose to you all is, if you had to make a choice like that, do you think you could do it? No, I shouldn't say that. We can cut this part out. I was going to say, if in the Spooky Sips podcast, you had to sacrifice one of us, who would you sacrifice?
We're not voting anyone off the island.
So easy myself.
No, you cannot pick yourself.
That's what the dad did in the movie.
Yeah, that's true. That's what I would do.
I mean, that's the critical thing is the dad at the end did have the option where it's like only one person had to go. So you could pick yourself.
Dunzo.
The deep water says one. They never said it couldn't be you.
You would fall into that relative loss where you feel like you making the choice is better than the pool deciding for itself to either kill Brianna, you, me, or Yvette.
Right.
You feel like you'd be saving us. Okay. I don't know if I could pick. I might just let the pool randomly choose which one of us goes.
Mm-hmm.
But the pool wasn't going to pick you. I feel like that's the thing is that it's not random.
Right. It's random if it's the other two.
Yeah.
Yourself, you have to
I'm sorry, one of you's going.
You're like, no, like I know I'm safe. I know the pool can choose between you two.
Bye.
Oh my god. Oh, it's like in in Scary Movie, right? Like the comedy one where it's like the girls are getting attacked and it's like but you were my best friend. And it's like you were. And it's like as the girls like running away.
Bye.
That's gonna be Laura apparently.
Yeah, well, I don't want to die.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So anyway, I didn't go too deep into it because
that's okay.
I thought it was really
it's not deep. So
it was kind of interesting to see that there is actually research behind like different parts of your brain that are active when you have to make important versus non-important decisions.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of interesting that like survival part of your brain is what is most active. So you might just like make non-rational decisions in that situation.
Yeah, it's not the part of your brain that you want active, I think.
Right.
Because I think it's too hard to know how you'll react.
Exactly.
Truly. There's just no way to predict how you'll truly react if, push comes to shove. There's just, you don't know.
Well, and I think that's why you can't know because it's so rare that we actually are in those true emergency situations. So you can say what you think you're going to do, but that's your prefrontal cortex talking. That's not that base lizard part of your brain.
Right.
So that part might take over and you might do something that will surprise you.
Yeah.
Totally.
So there's my psych. That's all I got.
That was a good psych. Honestly, for this movie, that was a pretty good.
Agreed.
Good psych. Yeah. Well, I have just a few fun facts.
Okay.
For you guys. So we can go through those now. If that works. So the inspiration for this movie is that it was originally a short film with the same name, also Nightswim.
They should have kept it that way.
Yeah, they should have.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. When I say short film, I mean real short. Like the whole video is under 4 minutes.
Nice.
Love it.
And like the last minute, I think, is just end credits.
Okay.
So it is like a really, really short film. We could always post the link. It's just on YouTube.
Yeah, I want to watch it.
Yeah. No. So definitely get the inspiration. Like visually, it looks pretty similar to the actual movie, but just really, really short. I mean, there's one character. It's a woman swimming in the pool, and it's very short. But honestly, I liked the short. I watched it. I'd recommend watching it. It's pretty short.
I'm convinced that it will be better than this one.
Yeah,
it's pretty low. So
so they made this short, and so it's the writer, I think, for that original. The people who made the short are the same people who then made the feature film.
Okay.
So the short came out. When did it come out? I want to say it was like 2014, but don't quote me. So it was. It was a while ago. Okay. Yeah, it came out 2014. And it did pretty well. They just released it straight to YouTube, but it got like hundreds of thousands of views, which for just like a short film is pretty good considering you just kind of put it out there. And then in 2018, they sold the rights to this movie to James Wan from Atomic Monster, who was one of the producers for the film. If you remember like the intros, Atomic Monster is one of them. And this was right before... Well, I'm sorry. This movie was made right when Atomic Monster merged with Blumhouse.
Okay.
So the movie was produced by Atomic Monster and Blumhouse, which, I mean, powerhouses. Like you expect. I expected.
Sometimes two rights make a wrong.
Yeah. So
that's this movie.
So they bought the rights in 2018. The original makers of the short film were kept on to make this like a full feature length movie. Which, I don't know. I feel like they talk about how when they watched the short film, they were kind of wondering, like, could they create a full feature film story about it? And
the answer is no.
Really felt that they could.
The answer is
no.
They were misinformed.
Wasn't quite there. But I'd recommend the short film. Honestly, it's worth the 3 minutes of your time to watch it.
I'm going to watch it as soon as we're done recording because I have it pulled up.
Okay. Another fun fact is that the movie was just shot in like LA, I think kind of like the LA area. So they found a house that had a pool that would work, but the house that they chose, I guess you could actually see the pool from the front yard. So they had to kind of like make some changes to hide the fact that you could see it. So it is a real house with like some modifications to make it work a little better. Okay, we talked about how the actor that played the dad is the son of Kurt Russell, but one thing I didn't know is that Kurt Russell had like a pretty good baseball career.
Yeah. Yes.
Had never heard of this. There's like, I think there's a movie about this. So he got to the minor leagues while he was also acting. So he was kind of like starting out in acting, also starting out in baseball, loved baseball. Like, I think that was the real passion. But while playing a game, he got injured, like really badly. And so when I looked at this story, he was describing how he went to the doctor and the doctor asked him like, oh, aren't you also an actor? And he said, yeah. And he was like, well, you're now a full-time actor. Like you're never playing baseball again and you should not.
Interesting.
So
his son
cut short.
Play.
So is this movie like a nod to him at all, or?
I think it's more of a coincidence.
Okay.
That, because that little relation to baseball.
Because that was kind of because I almost wonder, the guy who played the dad in this movie, I almost wonder if he kind of had a relationship with his dad the way that the boy had with the dad in the movie. Because the boy in the movie, they very much make it seem like he doesn't feel like he can be as good as his dad, who was this major success.
Yeah.
And like he wants to play baseball, but he's never going to be as good as his dad. Like I almost wonder if like the actor who played the dad, if that hit close to home, I guess.
Yeah. if it helps, to pull from some experience for the role. But yeah, I'd recommend looking it up. It's like fascinating seeing that that Kurt Russell had this whole minor league baseball career before diving into acting.
Yeah.
Okay, and the last kind of fun fact that I ended up kind of like looking into is the school that the kids attend. I did not catch this. I had never heard of this. Was named after Harold Holt, which had you guys heard of him before?
No.
So he was the Australian Prime Minister in like the late 60s.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, I can't believe you haven't heard of him. But after being Prime Minister for only 2 years, he disappeared while swimming in the ocean.
Oh my.
So they definitely knew what they were doing when they picked that into the school. But I looked it up. And yeah, this prime minister was on vacation with a group of his friends. I think they were near like a beach house that he and his like wife owned, having like a little lunch date, doing like a whole thing. And I think there was like a sailor who was sailing around the world and he was going to be near the part of Australia that they were in. So they went out to go see him. They had this whole little day planned and they pulled up on a little beach area and he was like, I'm going to go for a swim. Like, let's all like go in. And the last thing he said before he went out on the water is that he knew that water like the back of his hand. Oh. And then he swam out. And no one else joined him because he swam out and then his friends like started swimming out and they said that there was just like a crazy undercurrent where like they didn't go very deep before realizing that they needed to turn back. But he was like just fully swam out, and they tried to keep an eye on him, and then all of a sudden they said it was just like it was like watching a leaf fly away. Like he just got completely taken away by the ocean.
Oh my God.
And so they were trying to like climb rocks to like look down, and then obviously immediately called for help, and it led to one of the biggest searches in Australian history because their prime minister.
Yeah.
So I think by the end, the search involved more than 300 people. Like immediately they got divers out there. They had helicopters out looking for him, but they never recovered his body.
Oh my gosh.
The ocean is like, we talk about like the feeling that you get watching it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so massive.
Yeah.
It is so unbelievable. It'd be like looking for like, I don't know, one small child in all of the United States.
Right.
Or bigger than that.
Right.
And with like no sort of map or direction or clue. That's crazy.
So yes, I mean, so he was never seen again. So they had to assume that he had died, but it led to a lot of like conspiracy. And I think people were also kind of confused. So, cause this was only a couple years after JFK was assassinated. So there were also a lot of questions of why was the prime minister just out swimming by himself? Like no security, no one out to help him. Everyone agrees. I don't believe any of the conspiracies. He swam out. The water was insane. Even the divers that were looking for him, I mean, they had to call it because it was unsafe for them to be in the water. So it was definitely an unsafe condition.
Yeah.
But there were so many conspiracy theories. Like people were theorizing that he himself was actually a Chinese spy and that a submarine picked him up while he was out there. And so that's how he faked his death. Obviously the US has to be involved. There are theories that the CIA actually put out a hit on him and that's how they killed him. Like there are just wild conspiracies.
See, I was thinking like alien abduction or something.
Yes.
Water aliens.
Yes.
See, somehow that did not come up in my search.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They're just not thinking outside the box enough.
No, apparently not. But he was never found. Like no the last the stuff that they had of his was just like the clothes he took off before going in the ocean.
Weird.
So no trace of him was ever found after that day.
Weird.
Crazy.
Which is, I mean, again, it's crazy when it happens to anyone, but also it's like the prime minister, like you imagine like the president just drowned, you know? Like it,
depending on what year you're talking about. I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah. But so anyway, that's where that name came from. Who I don't know how we never heard. I mean, I obviously we're not in Australia, but like that is such a weird, like world leader just drowns after being prime minister for only 2 years.
Yeah.
So
weird.
Yeah, that's the last of my fun facts.
So I had a weird fact that I was wondering if either of you noticed, but when I look up the cast, did any of you notice that Patrick Dempsey is listed?
No.
What?
So like if you're on your Google, like here they all are, and there's just Patrick Dempsey in the middle.
Who does it say he is?
Nobody. He doesn't have a name under him, but he's just there in the list.
What? I'm looking at, not that I don't believe you, you're showing it to us.
Isn't that so weird? Like I was like, is that?
Wait, what?
Do you see it?
We have to take a screenshot of this. We have to post this.
It's so weird.
It's like me waiting for Patrick Dempsey to show up, you know?
Yeah. I was like, wait, was he somehow like involved?
Wait, also Rick Hoffman.
Oh my gosh, you're right. He is there too, huh?
Yeah, I mean, they're not given
a tag, like a...
Yeah.
What?
And they're like before other actors too.
I know.
In the order, they come up before other people.
Patrick Dempsey is on like the main title.
I mean,
they're so funny.
They're definitely not
in the movie.
No. And they're not on IMDb.
Oh, okay.
And we would have noticed.
Right.
But I also like the guy who's listed as Big Dad.
Big Dad.
Just Big Dad.
But there's 3 separate people that are listed on there that have no character.
Weird.
Patrick Dempsey, Rick Hoffman, and Megalyn Ichikanwaki. I don't know who that is, but
this is so weird. Yeah, I feel like he shows up on the cast
you're
on
right.
like a couple other websites, but again, no character.
Okay, so that's
name.
a weird one. So Sippers, if you know anything about that,
I'm wondering if like
explain.
There's not going to be like a sequel, right?
I hope not.
Because you know how Patrick Dempsey does like to be in some. I mean, he was in Pilgrim,
and he was
Thanksgiving. I mean,
he was
that's true.
So good in that.
And he's been in some other like obscure horror movies. I wonder if maybe he's rumored to be in the next one.
I hope there's not a next one, but if he's in it, I'll watch it.
I mean, yeah,
so
I will.
Interesting.
All right. Well, you guys, I mean, look, we are dedicated to our craft. We all finished the movie.
We did.
And we still did an episode on it. So,
well, I wasn't going to make that watching experience be for nothing.
No.
Good job for us.
We at least get to complain to each other.
And, you know, maybe there's something that we missed. So if you watched it and you loved it, tell us why. And we'll probably tell you you're wrong. But we might also be like, oh, you're right. We didn't even notice.
Oh, yeah. We'll hear you out. Like if there's a legit reason why this is a really good movie, I'll hear you out.
Please,
I don't think I'll hear you out.
We're all like
trying
to find anything.
You can reach out to me. I'm
going to judge you. I'll psychoanalyze you.
Okay, so this is going to be interesting. But here on Spooky Sips, we don't give stars, we give sips. So out of 5 sips, how many you sipping on?
I knew immediately, like as soon as I finished watching this movie, like it's a 1.5 for me. And that it's not the worst movie I've ever seen. Like I won't say that. And honestly, like I feel like sometimes, you know, like I don't love super like gory movies. Sometimes I just want like a horror movie, like and that's it. Like
horror
yeah,
movie.
just a horror movie. If that's what you're looking for, nothing that serious. It's not a bad option. It's probably not even the first option, I'd say. It's definitely not, but it's not bad. So for me, it was like as soon as I finished watching, I was like, this is like 1.5.
Okay. I think for me, Sippers, if you've ever done a wine tasting, like if you go to a winery, you can do a wine tasting where they'll pour you a little sample and you'll sip it. And then I almost never use the spit bucket that they have like on the counter. Because a lot of times if you're tasting a lot of wine, you might just like want to taste it and then spit it into the spit bucket. I never am one to waste wine, so I never use that. However, for me, with this movie, this is a spit it out. Like this is a no sip. Like put it in my mouth and then immediately reject it. I hated it.
We're adding spit bucket as an official ranking.
We really are.
Perfect.
That is yes.
This is spit bucket movie to me.
Yeah. So for me, because like when we all watched Pure, I was pretty harsh on Pure. I think I was like 0.5 or 1. I have to say, like, I don't know if this is allowed, but like, I give it 0 sips. I don't give it any. Because here's the thing, Pure, I was like, okay, it was not my cup of tea, but I still would recommend to watch it.
I agree.
There's nobody that I would recommend to watch this, even my enemies. No.
Interesting.
I found this worse than Pure as well.
Yeah, it's a 0 for me. Like, I found it completely a complete waste of my time.
I'm trying to think of where this lands with Pure for me. I don't know. I feel like I didn't love Pure.
No, I know.
See, but at least Pure had some redeeming qualities.
It had moments.
There was like
it's fair.
Maybe a couple redeeming qualities of this movie for me, and it was like the way she cut the watermelon, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Swim for him for me, and that was it. So
yeah, and that's it.
Oh yeah, Swim for him was good, but yeah.
All right, well, this has been an interesting one, y'all. I am very excited for next time. Next time on Spooky Sips, we're getting weird. we're going to watch Tusk. It's got our boy Justin Long in it.
Yeah.
We love here on Spooky Sips. And if you haven't seen it, get watching and get sipping.
So nervous.
Oh.
See you next time on Spooky Sips.
Hey, bye.
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 Thank you for listening to Spooky Sips. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're listening. To stay up to date on all the spooky things we're up to, follow us on Facebook and Instagram at SpookySips_podcast. And if you want to help support the podcast, consider buying us a coffee, or really a cocktail. We are completely independent, so every little bit goes a long way to keeping our podcast running and improving. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.